Be sure to follow my Twitch over at twitch.tv/daltonix. Thank you. Hello everyone, in today's video we are going to be going over the top 15 weapons in the current PvP landscape. With episode Heresy being out for a couple weeks, I figured it was about time to drop this video now that we've had a weekend or so of trials, and as well as a couple weeks of just normal 6v6 gameplay, and now with Iron Banner, it's kind of shown what the meta is in terms of weapons. These 15 weapons are very strong. In terms of how I picked them and narrowed it down, I looked at some usage rates on Destiny Tracker as well as Trials Report, and as well used my own opinion on what I feel is super strong. And with that, I made the 15 list of the top weapons. Now granted, there are well over 1,000 guns in this game, so narrowing it down to 15 wasn't the easiest, so there are some that I'm sure that I missed that are very good, but this is the 15 core that you're probably going to see every single day in PvP. Now, without further ado, let's get into the first pick. So starting off at number 1 is the Regdrick S-Talk, and you get this pulse rifle from completing your placements in the competitive playlist. Just do your 7 games and you should get it to drop. This is probably one of the hottest weapons in the current meta, absolutely shredding. Being a 450 rate of fire pulse rifle, this thing is insane. But the thing that makes this pulse rifle so good is the legacy frame that it has. Similar to its brother BXR, it is very accurate firing from the hip, which means you can fight super close as well as long range with the insane range that these pulse rifles have. And the perk pool does not disappoint as well. In the first column, you have things such as Lone Wolf, Offhand Strike, which pairs perfectly with the Legacy Frame, Perpetual Moment, and Zen Moment. All 4 of these picks are amazing. Offhand Strike just feeds into that hipfire accuracy more, but I think my top pick here is definitely going to be Lone Wolf, just because you don't need to actually do anything to activate it, and getting plus 10 to 20 aim assist, depending on if you're alone or not, is absolutely absurd. Makes this thing an absolute laser beam. And in terms of the second column, you have things such as Kill Clip, Head Seeker, Rapid Hit, and Sword Logic. Now, if you're looking for lethality perks, Kill Clip and Sword Logic both kind of do the same thing, but a little bit differently. Sword Logic is great because you only need to get 1 kill to make it super lethal to any Guardian who is a solid 9 resilience or lower. But 10 resilience will survive. They will not go down in 0.5 seconds. It will not shift the time to kill on max resilient Guardians at all. But Kill Clip, however, will make it so max resilient Guardians will go down in that 0.53 seconds, as well as will give you a little bit more forgiveness than Sword Logic. Sword Logic still, to get that 2 burst, you need to hit all headshots, but Kill Clip, you can get 5 headshots, 1 body on anybody who's tier 7 resilience or lower, and tier 7 is one of the most popular resilience levels. So Kill Clip still does have a place for ease of use and taking out those max resilience Guardians. But I will say for lethality perks, for most players, Sword Logic is still probably going to be the top dog. In terms of consistency, Head Seeker probably is the best one here. Rapid Hit is alright, obviously getting increased stability and reload speed isn't too bad, but Head Seeker is just such a good perk. This pulse rifle is absolutely insane, and no wonder it was the most used weapon in the first weekend of trials, and you see it everywhere in Crucible. Then our second gun is another comp gun, this being Deadlock. This shotgun is absolutely insane, the stat package on it is nuts, and like I said, you get it from comp. After you complete your placements, you can focus some at Lord Shaxx every single week, depending on your rank. The higher rank you are, the more you can focus for a good roll. In terms of the rolls that we should be looking for on this thing, in the first column, you're going to either want Lone Wolf, Slag Shot, or Threat Detector. I think Lone Wolf is the best due to just how much more consistency it adds to the shotgun. The aim assist is nice. Then in the second column, there's no other perk that you're going to really want here other than Closing Time. It's just essentially Opening Shot, but it adds a bunch of handling. You can go with Opening Shot if you want it activated all the time, but Closing Time is just so strong and it's pretty easy to keep the perk going. Just make sure you only got 1 or 2 bullets in the magazine. But Closing Time, Opening Shot, both of them are really good, but just try to get Closing Time. Like I said, the shotgun is absolutely insane. Its stat package is juiced. With Closing Time, you pretty much always have max handling. Then Lone Wolf just makes it so it has an insane amount of aim assist. The range on this shotty is absolutely absurd, and this thing just essentially has the max stat package you could ever imagine on a shotgun. Gun number 3 is Exalted Truth. This is a 140 hand candy you get from the Trials of Osiris playlist, so whenever it's available for the week, you can try to get an adept one, or you can focus it at Saint 14 to just try to get the best roll you can. Trials currently is pretty easy to play and is raining loot as of right now, so whenever this is available, I highly recommend you get in there to try to get a good one. In terms of the perks, it's pretty hard to miss on this thing. It's just juiced to the extreme. In the first column, you have things such as Keep Away, Lone Wolf, Moving Target, Zen Moment, and Slag Shot, all great. Withering Gaze is a niche pick, but I wouldn't recommend it for most players, but it is very strong. I don't think it's the strongest on hand cannons. I think it's better for scout rifles and pulse rifles, but any one of those other perks in that column is really good. I personally like Lone Wolf or Keep Away on this thing, but I feel like this hand cannon is different for everybody. I've heard people saying Lone Wolf is mandatory, but then I've heard other people say Slide Shot's mandatory. So I really think it depends on the player. So I recommend getting a couple of these things so you can kind of try it out. In terms of the second column, there's a few less perks, but it still has some good ones. Eye of the Storm, Magnificent Howl, Opening Shot, and Precision Instrument are all really good. For consistency, Eye of the Storm and Opening Shot are great. Precision Instrument adds a little extra range as well as helps out versus some overshields and whatnot. And then Magnificent Howl can be pretty crazy to get some pretty cool 2-tap, as well as making it a little easier to get your consistent 3-taps, because if you have it going, you can 2-head 1-body somebody. So it really depends. Personally, I like Eye of the Storm here the most, but you can't go wrong with any of these perks. Hey, just real quick, if you are enjoying the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe, as it does help out my channel a lot. We are so close to 20,000 subscribers, less than 600 away. Please, please, please help me get there. Then next up on the list is Ace of Spades, and this exotic hand cannon you get from the exotic kiosk in between the vaults and the tower, and this thing pretty much has anything you'd ever want on a hand cannon. Crazy amount of range, high cal to make it so it have an increased flinch, then it also has Firefly to give it increased reload speed, as well as a little explosion, which is always fun to see. Memento Mori is an infinite damage boost as long as you don't stow it, and is very easy to proc, making it so this thing becomes an absolute damage dealing machine. Then lastly, Third Eye, which Third Eye makes it so whenever you ADS, you keep your radar, making it just so you can be super aware of all your surroundings. Ace is one of the best weapons in the game, especially for newer players, just because it is so easy to get as long as you have the Forsaken pack, and it will just slay in any game mode you play. Comp, trials, quick play, it doesn't really matter. This hand cannon absolutely slaps, and after you get a kill to get that Memento Mori going, you can just go crazy. And this thing also can have some pretty crazy 2-tap builds if you play Radiant Hunters or Lunafaction Boot Warlocks to have some pretty meme strats. Very fun gun to use and very accessible for most players. Next up on the list is the BXR 55 Battler. You currently get this from Dares of Eternity, and it is craftable, so very easy to get the God roll. Though it's not as good as its new brother from the comp playlist, it's still very strong. This thing still absolutely runs people over. It has that legacy frame, so you can fire from the hip very easily, and it is just super good. In terms of the first column, you have things such as Killing Wind, Perpetual Motion, and Snapshot, which I think are all great. Killing Wind can just get you that extra range and make it feel extra snappy after a kill. Perpetual Motion is constant stability and handling, just making the gun feel that much better. And then Snapshot feels pretty good to be a little bit more aggressive with the thing. Personally, I like Perpetual Motion. I think the stat bonuses are really good, and they're very easy to keep going as long as you're strafing around and moving around even a little bit. In terms of the second column, you have things such as Eye of the Storm, Kill Clip, Elemental Capacitor, and Rangefinder, which actually is kind of a niche pick. I think these are all pretty good. Eye of the Storm is all right to add a little extra consistency. Kill Clip makes this thing absolutely shred, just like it does with the comp pulse. Then Elemental Capacitor, depending on the class you play, can really help out. Getting 20 plus stability for playing Void or 50 handling for playing Arc is pretty insane. And then Rangefinder can help a little bit with your consistency. Personally, I like Kill Clip on this thing. It just makes it absolutely shred. It makes it so fun to use in 6s, but can also do well in trials. Next up is our Season Pass exotic, the Lodestar. This is our first ever primary trace rifle, and as I said, it's a Season Pass exotic, so it is very easy to get right now. If you have the season, you get it at level 1 of the Season Pass, and if you don't have the season, you can get it at level 40, making it very easy to get. All you have to do is grind a little bit of XP, and this thing absolutely slaps. As I said, it is a primary trace rifle, the first of its kind, and it does a little bit less damage than a normal trace. When you ADS it, it fires in like a 3-round burst. Now, this is garbage. This is really bad. I would never use this, but the hip fire is where it really shines. This beam absolutely shreds targets, like I said, doing just a little bit less than your normal trace rifle, and it just feels so good to use. Now, Bungie has been disabling this one and re-enabling it because apparently it has a little too much aim assist, but even with the aim assist toned down a little bit, I still think this thing is absolutely going to fry. Maybe I'm wrong, but I still think it's going to be good. The speed at which this thing can actually take somebody down, and if the damage is intended the way it is, then it's always going to take somebody down in that speed. It's just, if the aim assist is a little bit lower, then that means, you'll have to be a little bit more on target, but I don't think that really is going to matter a whole lot for most people. As long as you can aim a little bit, this thing will absolutely fry people, and it just feels so good and so fun to use. Next up on the list is Igneous Hammer. Now, Unfortunately, you can't currently get the Adept version of this one because Bungie has removed it, but how you currently get it right now is by playing Trials of Osiris, and you can focus Legacy Engrams over at Saint 14 to get one. And the base one is still really good. You don't necessarily need the Adept one. Honestly, most of the time you're just going to put a ballistic mod on it anyway. But this is a 120 hand cannon that has insane stat package and just feels so good. And the perks on it make it even better. In the first column, we have things such as Rapid Hit, Keep Away, Fragile Focus, which are all great. Personally, I like Keep Away the most. It's the easiest to keep going and just adds so many benefits, but I understand why other people like the other options. In terms of the second column, you have Precision Instrument, Opening Shot, Moving Target, and Eye of the Storm. All of these are great. Personally, I like Precision Instrument the most. It helps fight against overshields and helps a little bit with damage drop off, but if you want a little bit more of a consistency perk, I do think Eye of the Storm is the best one there in terms of that. But this hand cannon has some absolutely absurd range, and the stat package is insane. This is probably the best gun in the game, if I'm going to be honest with you. The stat package is absurd, and when you're playing against teams that are actually really trying to win using this hand cannon, it's really hard to actually combat against them because the amount of range that it has and the amount of damage that 120s do and the team shot capabilities, this thing is just stupidly strong, and it's pretty easy to get with the amount of loot that you're getting from Trials right now. Just focus your engrams, try to get a good one. I really recommend it. Next up on the list is Scavenger's Fate. This is a seasonal shotgun from Season of the Revenant, so you can go do Prison of Elders, or you can use tonics to focus to get these to drop through pretty much anything that you're doing. All you need to do is, do the Prison of Elders to get the materials for the tonics, so it's pretty easy to farm this one. Though I don't have a god roll for it, I will show you what the god roll is because this shotgun is absolutely insane. In terms of the first column, you're going to be wanting either Lone Wolf or Slide Shot. I think Lone Wolf is the best. As we talked about a little bit earlier with Deadlock, getting increased aim assist just makes your shotgun that much more consistent. Plus the ADS scaler is always nice, making it scoping just that much quicker. In terms of the second column, very similar. Again, to Deadlock, you're going to want closing time. The amount of bonus stats you get for just having 1 or 2 bullets in the mag is absurd, and essentially it's just opening shot that gives you handling. This shotgun is so good and probably best in slot in terms of your energy slot, and it just feels good. It just feels really, really good. It has a small weapon model, so it's not too bulky, which is always nice, and it's really easy to get. Next up is Hammerhead, and this is the only heavy on this list, and that's just because of how good it is. You get this from the old Onslaught playlist that you can access through the Vanguard tab, and it is just an absolute insane heavy machine gun. The aim assist is so high, making it super easy to use, and the perks just make it so you get so much ammo and can have such a lethal machine gun. I know it's heavy, but it's so much better than every other machine gun, it's not even funny. Now, in terms of the first column, the big perk here that makes this so strong is 4 times the charm. Now, this is a perk we typically don't care that much for in PvP, more of a PvE perk, but in terms of this case, because this is a heavy machine gun, it will load 2 shots from thin air once you hit 4 precision hots, and because this thing 4 tabs, it makes it so you can get so much ammo. There are so many times I will pick up 1 heavy brick and you can get 4 to 6 kills just from 1 spawn because of this. Then it pairs very nicely with a perk in the second column, Killing Tally. This will make it so whenever you take somebody out, it will give you a damage bonus, and this will last forever unless if you stow the weapon. It's kind of like Memento Mori, but on a machine gun. Now, Killing Tally mixed with 4 times the charm, it's insane. You always have a damage bonus and you're constantly getting ammo back. The amount of kills that you can get in quick play with this thing is absurd, but the ease of use of this thing, just having a massive hitbox because of its super high aim assist, just makes it super good for any game mode. It's insane. If you don't have a good Hammerhead, go get one. It's just so good for PvP. Now, gun number 10 and 11, I have a confession. I don't have these guns, so there will not be gameplay in the background of them, but I can show you the perks and we can go over the stuff. So gun number 10 is Prophet of Doom, and this shotgun you get from Garden, and you can craft it, which is great, making it easy to get the good roll. You just have to do Garden, which I haven't done. In the first column, as you can see here, it has some mediocre perks. The only thing that you'd really care for is Threat Detector. This thing makes it so you can get lots of handling, which with a shotgun, you're always going to have base at least 1. And then in terms of the second column, as you can see, Closing Time, we all know how good this is. Max Effect makes it so you can get max handling as well as a lot of range, but even with the base effect with 1 stack of Threat Detector, still 90 handling. It just makes it absolutely insane. Now, one reason to use Prophet of Doom over any of the other shotguns is going to be the Origin trait. This is great against combatants with overshield, so it's great at defending against Overshield Titans, like Void Titans, or Warlocks sitting in Rift. So honestly, it really depends on this one or Scavenger Fate, which one you're really going to want to use, because they both have their advantages. One has Lone Wolf, so it's a little bit more consistent. This one will always have a higher handling, but also will counter people with overshields. So I think it really, really depends on what you're playing against, because they both have their niches, but they're both still very good. Now, in terms of the 11th weapon on the list, again, I don't have it because I haven't farmed Garden, and that's going to be Zealot's Reward. This fusion rifle is insane. It is a rapid fire frame that it has a ton of range once you build into it. So in terms of the first column, you're going to want to go with Under Pressure because it just adds a lot of extra stability to your fusion rifle, which stability is very important. And then in terms of the second column here, you're going to want Closing Time, because Closing Time gives you so much range, so much handling, and essentially is just opening shot on a fusion rifle. And if you really build out into all the range capabilities of this thing, it makes it so this thing can actually kill up to 19 meters on a rapid fire frame. And I'm forgetting the range masterwork. There you go. 19 meters that this thing has damage drop of. That is insane for a rapid fire fusion. This thing is absurd, and I need to get one at some point, but that requires farming Garden, which I just unfortunately don't have time to do. Now, next up is Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon is probably, in my honest opinion, the best 140 in all of Destiny 2. This thing is just so goated. It also has random rolls on it. Now, you get Hawkmoon from Xur, so unfortunately there's a little bit of RNG whether you can get a good one or not, because every week he is going to show up with a Hawkmoon, and you just gotta hope that it's kind of the roll you want. In terms of the perks that you're gonna be looking for on this thing, Opening Shot, Moving Target, or Eye of the Storm are all great. It has some other niche picks such as Killing Wind, Snapshot, or Surplus, which are all like decent picks, but for most players, I highly recommend you go with Opening Shot, Moving Target, or Surplus, but it's pretty hard to go wrong with this thing. The stat packages on Hawkmoon are insane, and then the main thing that makes this so strong is its intrinsic trait, Paracausal Shot. This makes it so every single time you hit a headshot in a magazine, you'll get a stack, and then the last bullet in your magazine will do bonus damage depending on how many stacks you have. Now it can go up to 7, but if you have 6, it will actually one-shot to the head, and if you have 7, that last bullet will one-shot to the head or body, which is absolutely insane. The amount of damage that this thing can do, being able to one-tap people as a hand cannon is absurd. But the thing that makes this thing so strong, in my honest opinion, is the fact that it's very easy to two-tap people with a 140. And having 6 or 7 shots, once you get that stack and you get to your last bullet, Hawkmoon will make a bit of a caw noise, kind of to warn people that, hey, he's got a one-shot bullet. But the two-tap, nobody knows about. If you have 4 stacks on your last, 2 bullets, you can 4-tap somebody, which is stupidly strong. Most people won't see it coming. You still take them down very quickly. And Hawkmoon is just super good. Base stat package, insane. Paracausal Shot, making it so you can 2-tap or 1-tap people in slower game modes especially. It's so good. Hawkmoon is just so good. Next up on the list is Kramil's Dagger. This is a 120 hand cannon that you get from Iron Banner, so very easy to get, and it is very good. Though its stat packages aren't as good as Igneous Hammer, it makes up for that in its wonderful perks. In the first column, you have access to Slideways or Moving Target. Slideways is my preferred pick there because it helps out a little bit with the handling, makes it so you never have to reload, as well as giving you a good chunk to stability as well. In terms of the second column, you can be using things such as Zen Moment, Opening Shot, Adagio, or Precision Instrument. They all have their niche picks. Zen Moment is great for negating flinch, making it so that you don't really flinch much in 1v1s, which is the biggest offender of losing primary fights. Personally, Zen Moment is my favorite. Then Adagio will make it so you can actually 2-tap people with a 120. Yes, it lowers the fire rate a little bit, but the 2-taps are just super satisfying. And again, Precision Instrument is great at helping out with overshields or giving you a little bit extra range. Kramil's Dagger just feels really good to use. I feel like it's mainly the Slideways giving you the bump to handling and stability, but this thing it doesn't have the highest stat package, but it just feels good. And also the organ traits, being able to do a little bit more damage to Stasis Crystals or Titan Shields is always nice with the Hake Breach, or the Skulking Wolf always comes in handy as well. Next up, a little bit of a sleeper pick. We are going to be looking at the Hung Jury. This scout rifle is absolutely insane for one particular reason we'll get into in a moment, but it is a 180 RPM scout rifle you get from Onslaught, the older one in the Vanguard playlist, similar to Hammerhead. And the reason this is so strong is because of the perks it gets on it. In the first column, you're going to want either No Distractions or Rapid Hit. Both of these are great. No Distractions, again, helps out with anti-flinch. Number 1 primary losing offender is because you just get flinched off the target. Not really much you can do. Rapid hit, great for getting a little extra stability. And then in terms of the second column is the thing that makes this thing so strong, and that's going to be box breathing. Box breathing makes it so when you ADS for a second, you will get increased damage on that first bullet that you fire, and this is enough to make this scout rifle actually 3-tap, which is absolutely insane, because that makes it so this scout rifle can kill at 0.67 seconds up to like 70 to 80 meters away, which is absurd. It makes this scout rifle have some of the fastest time to kill at the longest range for a primary like ever. All you have to do is ADS for a second and a half before you fire, which is very easy to do with a scout rifle. It's super good on longer range maps, though it's not the greatest on those short maps. But if you're playing any long range map, this thing is so strong. And if you've ever played against a good player using one of these things, it is super oppressive. So though it is a scout rifle, it just has to make the list. It's just so strong. Then lastly, we have the Rose, our 140 hand cannon that you can get from the competitive playlist. Very similar to Deadlock. After you finish your placements, you can go focus some of these over at Lord Shaxx, and then he will give you a certain amount of focusing depending on what rank you are. The higher rank you are in the competitive ladder, the more you can focus per week. Now, this hand cannon is very special because it is a lightweight 140 hand cannon. And if you don't know why lightweight is so good, the lightweight bonus, when you read it, it says move faster with this weapon equipped, aka whenever you have this weapon in your hands, you get plus 20 to your mobility stat. Now, this also works for hunter dodges, which is great, adding to your cooldown. And it also just makes it so you strafe a little bit faster as well. So just having this bonus, the lightweight bonus is one of the best bonuses to have on any weapon. So any lightweight weapon is just honestly a little bit better than some others just due to this bonus. And the fact that this is a 140 and the only 140 in the game with it is just an exotic perk on its own, to be honest with you. But then we get into the perks on it and it just makes it even better. In terms of the first column, you have moving target, slide shot, perpetual motion, and rapid hit. Personally, I think slide shot's the best there, but use whatever you'd like. In terms of the second column, you have Eye of the Storm, Snapshot, Opening Shot, and Explosive Payload. Personally, I like Explosive Payload or Eye of the Storm the most, but the other two are great picks as well. But as I said, this hand cannon just feels super good. In terms of the perks just being absolutely insane and that lightweight bonus, it just makes this hand cannon in a league of its own. There's a reason that this is kind of the top dog of most 140 hand cannons besides the exotic ones. Even with Exalted Truth having such insane stat package, people still prefer this hand cannon just due to it being a lightweight. Bungie has kind of power crept 140 legendary hand cannons just because of the lightweight bonus that they've given this. Bungie, please just make all 140s lightweight, then the problem would be solved. So that is my top 15 guns of the current meta. You're going to see these pretty much every day whenever you play Crucible, and they are all very strong. Now, once again, I probably missed some of the weapons that, are really strong in the meta. It's a top 15 list. I can only, put so many into the list, and it is a lot of pulse rifles, shotguns, hand cannons. That is most of the list. That is, that is our meta. But if I missed anything, let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much, and you guys have a good rest of your day.